So as we all know, Errol the True Big Fish Spence Jr. has made his grand return. He made his grand return at the Tim Tszyu Sebastian Fundora fight. And now it's looking like Errol Spence may be getting this fight at 154 pounds before the guy that rightfully deserves it, in Terence Bud Crawford. It's your boy, Mr. 926, a.k.a. Bushido the Dragon, a.k.a. the Silver-Haired Demon, a.k.a. the Black Mage, a.k.a. I could just do this all day, the two-time demonetized champion of the world.
I need y'all to get the likes up, man.
Out, man. Terence Crawford finds himself still dealing with Errol Spence Jr. I mean, we thought this was over. We thought the Spence-Crawford chapter was a done thing. We thought it was over with. Errol Spence received some type of eye injury. He had to get cataract surgery. Yada, yada, yada. The rematch has been canceled. And amongst all of that, Terence Crawford received criticism. IBF stripped Terence Crawford, right? Because we was waiting on the Errol Spence rematch. Terence Crawford received criticism from fans. You know, do something. We're waiting on you, bud, et cetera, et cetera. We was waiting on Spence part of that time, but, you know, then he had to look elsewhere because the Spence fight fell through. In comes the fight between Sebastian Fundora and Keith One-Time Thurman. Keith One-Time Thurman gets a fight with Tim Tszyu, right? Keith gets a fight with Tim Tszyu. Keith Thurman gets injured in the fight with Tim Tszyu. But prior to that, Keith getting injured, Errol Spence gets added.
What'd you think?
Interesting facing
Hey, I'm glad he won, man.
Errol Spence said, nah.
It's
He
all
don't really wanna
good.
fight
Now I
Keith
gotta go
Thurman.
take his stuff.
Now, Terence Bud Crawford was the guy that was looking to face the winner of Thurman Tszyu. Thurman gets injured. In comes Sebastian Fundora on 12 days' notice. Sebastian Fundora now has the opportunity of a lifetime. Errol Spence Jr., no. But Terence Crawford then exercises his WBO super status to get the winner of this fight. WBO pulls back because, well, Tim Tszyu is talking about vacating the title to face Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. came out and said that he is returning and that he wants winners. Now, fast forward to today, after Easter Sunday. It's looking like Errol Spence Jr. may very well be getting this fight. Despite what the WBO recently came out and said that this week here, that they're going to be trying to force a fight between Sebastian Fundora and Terence Bud Crawford. But check out what the promoter of Sebastian Fundora, Samson Lewinsky, had to say. Check it out.
Is that
And I believe he deserved it.
Is that Errol Spence Jr.?
That's correct.
Over Crawford? Like, does Spence more money? Or?
No, Crawford will not sell out 90,000 people in Dallas. I can tell you that much.
But is Crawford the better fighter? That you think?
Yes, but, you know, like everybody wait. Like Benavides wait. Why not Crawford? Let him wait one time or maybe twice and then he go.
Even with Spence, you know, losing the fight, Crawford beating, you still think the value's better on Spence?
In the end of the day, it's maximize the profit for the fighter. And it'd be stupidity for me not to do that for him.
So safer for Spence.
And besides that, boxing is business. As Mayweather.
Yeah.
Now, after hearing what he had to say, they're willing to vacate the belts. They're willing to do whatever it takes to prolong the inevitable. Make Crawford wait. Well, Benavidez had to wait. Well, how come we can't make Crawford wait? We heard Leonard Ellaby come out and say, Errol Spence is getting that fight. And now Terence Bud Crawford has to use his WBO super status to try to force a fight, to put pressure on Sebastian Fundora, who he himself said that he would like to fight Crawford next. But like I told you guys, the politics of boxing, his handlers, he's a young guy. These guys are going to persuade him to go the Errol Spence Jr. route. A safer route, one may say, right? And still be somewhat of a lucrative route. Terence Crawford is more of a dangerous route. It'll still be lucrative, but it's much, much more dangerous. Why don't we make him wait one or two more fights? Age him out a little bit more. Since we got something that he wants, we're going to make him wait since he's not part of the team. Told you guys, it's more than just getting in the ring, putting on gloves, and being a very skilled fighter. It's a lot of politics that come into play. And even for a fighter like Terence Bud Crawford, who's at the top of the sport, he still seems to have a hard time getting guys to fight him. And yet, and still, the guy who took a loss, a huge loss in a big way, Errol Spence Jr., is still able to get all these fights. And I always told you guys, it's the obvious reason. It's because they see one guy as food, and one guy see his opponents as food. Right? So Errol Spence is getting seen as food out here. I'm an Errol Spence fan, by the way, right? But I've seen a lot of the Errol Spence guys seem to be celebrating this. Is this something that you should really be celebrating? It's really some nasty work. And by all rights, Terence Crawford deserves this fight. Errol Spence lost. He should have to work his way back up, right? But he took a huge loss in a big way. Been on for quite a while, right? Hops right up into the next weight class and gets a title fight. Why? Because, well, he's Errol Spence Jr. and he's part of the team. He made sure he got in the ring to make sure this thing goes down. For the fans and the public and everybody else could see, well, this is Errol Spence and this is likely who he's going to be fighting next. What the casual fans didn't see was Terence Bud Crawford. But us hardcore fans know what's really going on. And it's a huge, huge game of politics. Errol Spence trying to leapfrog his way back into the leverage position. So if he was to face Crawford again, right? If he was to face Terence Bud Crawford again, he'll have the A-side leverage once again. Because let's be honest, going into that rematch after Crawford beat him, Errol Spence was going to be the total B-side in that fight. So the whole faking of the injury, right? And I'm starting to question that injury. I'm starting to question if Keith Thurman had still been part of this fight with Tim Tszyu, and if Keith Thurman beat Tim Tszyu, will Errol Spence still be interested in partaking in this fight at 154 pounds? It raises a lot of questions. But this is interesting nonetheless, man. The Spence Crawford Spence saga continues. This is somewhat of a moral victory for the Spence fans, it seems. I don't think this is something that should be celebrated. I say it's clever, really, really clever, really smart move, especially if his angle is to get leverage over Crawford to get the rematch on his terms. It's a smart move. But it's some nasty, nasty work because they seen that Terence Bud Crawford was trying to get that fight. But like I told you guys, Terence Crawford ruined their plans at 147. PBC had all the leverage at 147. Guess what? An outsider, a free agent type of guy like Terence Crawford came in there and beat up their guys, took all their belts and leverage. They still had leverage at 154 pounds. However, with Jamel Charlo falling off, they starting to lose a little bit of leverage. And they got Fundora and Tim Tszyu. They don't need Terence Crawford coming up in there and beating up on those guys, taking those belts too. So in come Errol Spence Jr. to save the day. To keep things in-house. To keep things on one side. Because if Crawford comes and beats him up, takes some belts, and then decides to retire, the belts will vacate and start scattering like Dragon Balls. And if we look at the 154-pound division today, it's totally different from what it was 6 months ago. Totally different landscape. Totally different guys at the top of the division. And let's be honest, the 154-pound division needs some stars. The 154-pound division needs guys like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. right now. So now we're going to play this game again, you guys. We're familiar with this game. We've played it before for years and years before Terence Crawford left Top Rank. He had a hard time. It seemed like he was never going to be able to get inside that fortress called PBC. But he was able to break through, get in that fortress via Errol Spence Jr. But now things is different. And now he's going to have to try to enter that fortress once again. They're going to make it real hard this time. Samson Lewinsky, he's going to do what's the best interest for his fighter. They don't care about what the fans want. They don't care about the best fighting the best. They got a young Mexican champion who they are trying to build up, and they are not going to put him anywhere near Terence Bud Crawford. They are not going to do it. In comes WBO to enforce this. But they'll be gladly willing to vacate the belt in order to not to have to deal with Terence Bud Crawford, even though it looks very cowardly. And it'll be something that Fundora himself will have to deal with in vacating the belt, Riddick Bowen the belt. But they don't care because this is business. And that's just what it is. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.